everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I know I've already said that, but it's sort of habit to come up here and say good morning. But nonetheless, it is a very good morning. So, anyways, please turn to the book of Proverbs. All right, this is Old Testament this morning, yes. And so, book of Proverbs, chapter 8. If you weren't here last time, I talked a little bit about wisdom. I love the subject of wisdom. I've just sort of been, if you don't know, I am an obsessive person. Anyone here would admit that you have an obsessive quality, that when you get interested in something, you just keep going at it. You're like, yes, that's it. Am I alone in here? That's okay. You just don't want to admit it. Except the people that said no, that means you admitted to it. So congratulations. You gave yourselves up. And so Proverbs chapter 8, but before we dive in there, I was told a story once, and I really wanted to share it with you this morning, okay? And so I know someone, their name is, not important. Because we all do things when we're kids and youth that we're like, when we get to adults, we're like, why did I do that? Right? We all could probably agree. And anyways, this friend of mine, her and some of these friends, they decided, hey, we've heard about this abandoned house that has goodies in it, like stuff that we can sell and to get candy or get whatever, right? So they're like, you would hope they'd be like, it's just not worth breaking into a house. Even if it's abandoned, just don't do it. Well, they did. And so they broke a window, got in. Yeah, the crimes just keep piling up. But they get in there, and I guess those rumors were not true. There's no jewelry in there. There's no works of art that they can do anything with. All they found was a small jar of some change on a counter. That's it. That was their treasure. Out of all these, grand prisonable larcenies, right? It's a jar of coins. And so they grab that jar. They're like, why not? And so they do. They go. They buy a candy with it. And it's just great. They're like, this has been the best day ever. But then suddenly this friend of mine, they feel itchy, like in their socks. They're like, what's going on? And there's fleas in there. They're like, oh, well, that's bad. So they took care of the fleas, and I'm like, okay, fine, that's great. Well, suddenly they start feeling a little itchy. They're like, they don't think about it, but then suddenly someone's like, girl, you got lice. Yes. Girl got lice. And so she goes, because she needs to go tell her mom, who happens to be getting a haircut at the time, right? And so she goes in there, and she tries to whisper it to her mom, because she's in a haircut place. But then her mom does, what? You have lice? In front of everyone. Just shouts it, because she's so mad. She's so mad. The haircut person looks at her like she has the plague, and it's like, stand outside, please. Yes, just go out there. And so, her mom was so mad. She talked about it for days. The whole Mayo treatment was done. And so it was a pretty miserable time for Casey. I'm sorry. Did I just say that name? Oh, my bad. I meant to say Cassie, but, that doesn't work. Yeah, forgive her. She was young. What were you trying to get in that house? You want to clarify some stuff? Come up here. Come up here. Tell your story. No, it was my bad for giving you up. I apologize for that.
Yeah, you were going to do that the whole time. It's fine. Okay, so here's what happened. Okay, so I was with some friends. They were not good influence, obviously. And there was some rumors that this house that had been abandoned had some really expensive paintings in it. And maybe it did, but we got in there, and it was so dark and hot, and it smelled weird that we were all just like, let's just leave. So the window was already broken. First of all, it had a huge crack in it, and we just broke it the rest of the way. And then so we got in there, and then we went to the gas station to buy, I think we could buy like 3 candy bars with the change we found. And my leg was like, at the sock was like really itchy. And so I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I rolled my sock down, and my ankle was, he made it sound funny, but it was covered in fleas, which I had never seen a flea before at that time. So I was like, what is this? Like, I was freaking out. And then Fast forward a week, and actually I remember this so well because it was 9/11 of all times, okay? So it's picture day, 9/11, there's a lot going on, and I'm thinking it's nerves. So I'm in class and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's stuff's bad out there. Is anyone else really itchy? I'm so nervous. And so my friend sits behind me in math. She taps me. Hey, Casey. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, you have a bug in your hair. I saw it move, and it's in your hair. And I'm like, oh. And I'm like, can you get it out? And she's like, no, I won't. I won't get it out for you. I'm sorry. And I'm like, okay. So then a little bit later, she taps me again. She's like, I saw another bug in your hair. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So at that point, I realized that I'm probably infested. And so I go to my favorite teacher's class, Miss Williams. She's a music teacher, and she has me sit down, and then she starts combing through my hair, and she starts making those parental tax noises, the noises that parents make when they're doing their taxes, like, oh no, And then she's like, you have lice. And I'm like, oh, I don't get lice, okay? I'm 14 years old. I have a long mane, and I've never had lice, not even one time, okay? My mom doesn't do lice, okay? She does not do it. And she's like, well, you have it, so you might need to let your mom know. And I honestly would maybe just skip your last 2 classes and go home. And I'm like, no, I'd rather stay up here because I don't want to tell my mom. So I stayed at school, and she told me to walk to the beauty place. And so I did that. And I should have waited, you guys. I should have just waited till we left and told her then. But I'm like, Mom, I have lice. And she just freaks out, and then the ladies asked me to wait outside, so I'm all embarrassed waiting outside. And then she scolded me all the way to Walmart and then scolded me in Walmart, and then we're in Walmart, and she's like, I just can't believe my child has lice. And there people are like, hey, walking around me, and I'm like, this is. And then one thing he did not mention that I want to tell you all, let it be a light to you all. I had to do 4 hair treatments to get rid of it. I had it for over a month. So for me, it was like I never broke in anywhere else ever again because 4 times having lice and chopping my hair off was enough. So I learned my lesson. I never broke in again, and I never will. So thank you.
Was your hair chopped off for picture day?
No, I had my hair for picture day.
Okay. I was about to say, because I'm going to need to get a hold of that photo and put it on Facebook. So we'd be like, you see? You see? And so, yeah, we do. We do. We make silly decisions when we're, when we're kids. And sometimes as adults, sometimes we don't grow out of it. And the thing is choices can be hard. Obviously, that choice to break in or not break in, that should be a pretty simple choice. Don't break in, right? But yet today I want to talk about wisdom, and thank you for sharing that, Casey. You see now, any students that are in here knows not to break into anything, or you will get lice. Yes, you will get lice, and you will be punished, right? Yes, there you go. You see, you gotta. That should be the sermon right there. Everyone, we're good. Let's just go home. We're good. Don't break in. Make good choices. So. Anyways, all right, so last time I talked about wisdom. We talked about Ecclesiastes, right? And we talked about how we approach God and how we use wisdom to approach Him, to get to know Him, and how we can trust and all that. Well, today we're going to dig into Proverbs. If you don't know, it's another one of the wisdom literature of the Old Testament. There's 3 books in the wisdom literature of the Old Testament. That is Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Job. Right? Those are the 3 books. That means next time I preach, maybe I'll talk out of Job. Who knows? But today we're going to be talking about Proverbs 8. And in this, we get introduced to a gal. Her name is Lady Wisdom, right? Lady Wisdom. How awesome would that to be a title for one of you gals, right? This is Lady Wisdom, right? That'd be amazing. So anyways, in this book, the author personifies wisdom as a person, as a lady, as someone of knowledge. And it says, does not wisdom call out? Does not understanding raise her voice? On the heights along the way where the paths meet, she takes her stand. Beside the gate leading into the city, at the entrance she cries, to you, O men, I call out. I raise my voice to all mankind. You who are simple, gain prudence, and you who are foolish, gain understanding. Listen, for I have worthy things to say. I open my lips to speak what is right. And so here we have Lady Wisdom at the crossroads. That's very important. She's at the crossroads. She's at the gate. Think about this. It's a metaphor as decision making. You come to a gate, you have a choice to go in or to stay out. You hit a crossroads. You can go forward. You can go left. You can go right. And so here we have Lady Wisdom. She's talking about whenever you come to choices in our life, like not to break in, not to go ahead towards the house, but to take a left and do something else with your life, right? And so that's the last time I'll bring that up. I promise I love you. But anyways, that's what she's saying. She's like, I am good at making choices, right? And so cries out at the crossroads. The next piece, we're not going to read all of chapter 8, but I want you to know, when you get home today, read all of chapter 8. It's a phenomenal chapter of the entire book of Proverbs, and it's just going to just light a fire under you. But in Proverbs 8:16 through 15, I want to skip over there. It says, my kings reign, and rulers make laws that are just. By me, princes govern, and all nobles who rule on earth. All right, the words, the make decrees, make laws. This is a very specific word in Hebrew. It's hakak, right? I love Hebrew words. They sound like you're gonna hawk something up. Hakak, right? It literally means to etch. It means to carve. This was something that was used for kings or judges or people that made laws. They would etch out laws to bring justice to the land. They'd bring out laws to make the land and the people better, to better understand one another, to better treat one another. And so here we have Proverbs, Lady Wisdom saying, I am that person that causes that people can tap into to make good choices. Even if you don't know who Jesus is, if you're making good choices, if you're treating people right, then you're already sort of connecting with that wisdom of God that He has put into the universe. And so, but that also goes to like our families, the rules that we make for families, how our families function, how we treat our kids, how we teach our kids, what rules we do. This all has to do with that. The choices that we make whenever we're above somebody else, right? All right. So, and then we're going to skip once again to Proverbs 8:22 and 23. Now, this one is really cool. So I want you all to listen. You got your listening ears on, right? If I was in kids' church, listening ears, right? All right, Proverbs 8:22. The Lord brought me forth as the first of his works. Before his deeds of old, I was appointed from eternity, from the beginning, before the world began. When there were no oceans, I was given birth. When there were no springs abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled in place, before the hills I was given birth, before he made the earth or its fields or any of the dust of the world, I was there when he set the heavens in place and when he marked out the horizon on the face of the deep. We're going to revisit that piece later, okay? So remember that, right? When he marked out the horizon on the face of the deep. So remember that one. So here we have, this is like her saying her credentials. This is why you should listen to me. Not because I'm somebody on a soapbox in the middle of the road, right? Because we know not to always listen to folk that are on the soapbox just screaming for people to listen to them, right? This is not just someone that's going to bark orders to, this is how you should raise your family. This is what you should do. This is her saying, this is why you should listen to me. I was there since the beginning. I was there since the beginning. There's another piece of scripture I'm about to share with you that I didn't really connect with this until yesterday. I was going over this piece of wisdom, and suddenly something struck me, and I was like, this is cool. This sounds like something else I've read. And so I did some more digging and research, and this is super cool. Here we go. John chapter 1, starting in verse 1, just listen. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it. Obviously, this is talking about Jesus. This is the intro to John. John is talking about Jesus, that since the beginning, Because the thing is you know how we love to say God is love, right? Not that God loves, because we can love somebody. But to say God is love is an attribute. It's not just you're doing it because you're going to do it, but it's a literal attribute of God. God is love. And here we have, and it's repeated through the New Testament, that Jesus and wisdom is combined. And the thing is right here in Proverbs, we have an archetype of Christ. This is an attribute of Jesus. Jesus is wisdom. Wisdom is Jesus, right? So this is an attribute. So that means in the beginning of the world, because Proverbs goes on, and Lady Wisdom even talks about, I was there. It was through me that stuff was created. It was through me that things came into alignment. It was through me that the earth was created. It was through me. I was there every step of the way. And as we know, Jesus, it says in Colossians, and he himself existed and is before all things. In him all things are held together. That means literally the wisdom of Christ, the very foundation of the world, the way the universe works, the way we travel around the sun, the way the water system works. All this was created through the very wisdom of Christ, because it says that through him, through that part of the Trinity, that everything was made and came into being. Because the thing is when it comes to wisdom in the Old Testament, when it came to that culture, and when it comes to the Bible, wisdom is more than just making good choices. So, Mr. Brock, would you put up that picture for me? The word wisdom in Hebrew is chokmah. Well, I'm sorry, I did this way. Technically, it's this way. Chokmah, wisdom. This was more than just making good choices. Wisdom in their mindset, in the biblical mindset, was literally woven into the very fabric of reality, the very fabric of the universe. You could think of it as a thread. Anyone love making quilts here? Any quilt makers? Oh, where's Miss Connie? Oh, Connie, I know you're watching. I'm talking about you, okay? Anyways, quilt makers, you take different materials and you take your thread or a sewing machine and you patch them all together. So once you had all this chaos of material, right? All this chaos material, all these different patterns and such, but then by the time you get done with it, you have this beautiful tapestry of colors and patterns and textures and all this. I love quilts, by the way, I do. And it's just beautiful. Think of wisdom like that. Wisdom was literally sewn into the fabric of the universe. It binds everything together. It keeps it together. Because think about this. In one moment, if God decided that everything just poof out of existence and just unraveled the thread, he could, but he doesn't, because he's loving and he's awesome and such like that. And but the thing is it does. Through Christ and through the wisdom that comes forth from him, he keeps everything together. Everything is created and everything has life. That is amazing. And you remember that passage I was telling you to remember, right? And that was the Proverbs at the very last, that he etched off he created a boundary. Let me just reread that. I'm sorry. I want to make sure that you hear that again. And it says, I was there when he set the heavens in place and when he marked out the horizon on the face of the deep. When he marked out, that's the same exact word as to make decrees. It's the same word in Hebrew. It's just it's being used in a slightly different way, so it's translated slightly different. But it's the same one. It's being marked out. It's being etched. So you can think of it as God literally etching out from chaos and order. In Genesis 1:1, it says, God, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right? And God's Spirit hovered above the waters of the deep. In the biblical mindset, waters, deep waters, oceans, seas are used as an archetype or as an example or a literary device that displays chaos. It is chaos. Oceans, chaos, get it? Got that right? That the oceans of deep is chaos. And so in the beginning, when God started creation, he was literally etching order out of the chaos. He was putting rules in place. He was putting boundaries in place. The same words are used whenever he created the heavens and the earth, to create a boundary. You know what I mean? So it's another type of bringing that order out of chaos. I promise, y'all are looking at me, but I do have a point to all this. But I'm making sure you know how, just honestly, how awesome I'm obsessive about this. So you're getting my obsessiveness. I hope you're getting that. And so, anyways, so this is where we have it. We have this order versus chaos, right? God came, he brought order out of that chaos, right? He created the heavens and earth, and suddenly he creates a garden, right? He creates a garden. Adam and Eve, he puts them there. Everything is great. He gives them one great piece of wisdom, right? He's like, don't eat of the tree of good and evil. Don't go near it. That was the wisdom. That was the wisdom. And, everything was great. I'm not quite sure how much time passed. How much time did they spend in the garden before they went near the tree? How much? I don't know. But before they started going towards that tree, everything was great. God's wisdom being etched in the universe, everything was as it should be, right? Because that wisdom pervaded and soaked everything. And suddenly, they're at this tree, and another voice comes. See, the thing is, it's the battle of the voices. Every day in our lives, we come upon choices that need to be made, things that we need to do with our family, both the small and maybe the difficult decisions. We all come to that crossroads. And the thing is that there's another voice in Proverbs. Actually, technically, there's 4 voices, but we're only going to talk about 2, okay? So that's something to look up when you get home, 4 voices. But there's a second one, and her name is, they just mentioned her as the wily woman. Wily woman. Love the transliteration of that. Wily woman. Never mind. Anyways, I love to call her Lady Discord. She is introduced in chapter 7 of Proverbs. And instead of being at the city gates, she goes around. She just goes around. And she's like, hey, you should listen to me, honey. Yeah, you should listen to me. This is the way you should. No, don't listen to Lady Wisdom up there. I got to you first. Let me show you how it's done. Let me show you how you should act. Why should you forgive that person? Why should you return that item that was put in your cart by your child you got home with? It's a free item. Why should you do this? Why should you do that? So you have this other voice in Proverbs that's trying to take you out from the order, which is God's, and into the chaos. So you can think of this as chaos versus order. And that's what you have in the Garden of Eden. You have God's order that has perpetuated everything. Everything is held together. But then suddenly another voice comes, the serpent comes. It's Satan in disguise. And the Hebrew wording there is very interesting because it's not very subtle. He's laying it on thick. Did he really say that? It's like there's an exclamation mark there. Or did he really say that? Why would he say that? No, you're not going to die. So he is casting doubt in their minds. He's another voice that's coming along and trying to bring chaos back into the order. And that's exactly what happens. Because both Adam and Eve, I don't like to just say Eve, because Adam was there standing with her. Just FYI, not all the ladies' fault. He's right there with her, and she makes the choice that he allows, and he allows the choice to be made, and he takes the choice as well, and things collapse. Because they have decided that they want to be wiser than God. They've decided that I'd rather do this my way instead of God's way. I don't trust God in that order. And that's the thing. That's the choices that we make. Do we trust in God's wisdom? Do we trust in his love? Do we trust in his confidence? Do we trust in him? And the thing is that's in this whole chaos versus order, this makes what happened in a couple places in the New Testament so much more rich. Let's go to Peter and the boat. We all probably know that story. Peter's in the boat with the disciples. Jesus is across the way. The seas is stormy. You see, seas are stormy, right? And they're floating about. They're bobbing about. They're scared because they don't know if they're going to make it to shore. And suddenly Jesus comes walking on the water. He comes walking on the water. And Peter's like, that's a ghost, right? They're like all panicking. He's like, no, it's Jesus right here. And Peter's like, hey, can I come out to you? And so Peter does. He walks on the stormy seas and meets him. And it's not until he notices everything around him really, and suddenly he starts to sink. The seas is a literary type for chaos. So when Jesus is walking on the water, he's literally showing them that he is above the chaos. He is above the junk in your life. He is above all that stuff that just seems out of order and crazy. That he is above. That he brings order. That's why him calming the seas. In the other part, they're all afraid that he's on the boat, and they're like, oh my gosh, we're going to die. Jesus calms the sea because he is over the chaos. Jesus was calming the chaos. He was bringing order to chaos. And that's the thing. That's what he wants to bring in your life. He wants to bring order. He wants to bring his wisdom. Jesus' wisdom, you get that? He wants to bring his wisdom into your life to help bring order. Unfortunately, now, does that always, whenever you make wise choices, you also make more wise choices, right? It's like a snowball effect. Does it always work? I want to say no. Why? Because the world is fallen, and you unfortunately have to rely on others to be using Jesus' wisdom as well. But could you imagine what things would be like if people use God's wisdom? Think about it like this. We don't know sometimes how we affect others with our choices. Think about it as a grocery cart at a Walmart, right? I read this article once a long time ago. I say a long time ago, it was probably last year. And it was like the ultimate, I don't know if it was like the ultimate morality test or the ultimate whatever. Because if you think about it, you get out of Walmart, you're tired, you've been in, Walmart City, so you get your groceries, and you could leave it right in front of your car or the side, or, oh, there's another group of carts just all willy-nilly over here. Why don't I just do it? Because the thing is you're not going to get in trouble for it. You're not going to get in trouble. You just leave it there, you drive away, and no one's going to be the wiser. They're not going to check the footage. Okay, who put the cart there? Yeah, check their credit card information, their address, we'll go get them. They're not going to do that. But the thing is when it comes to wise choices, when it comes to making decisions, sometimes the best choices is not the easiest choice. Using wisdom can be hard sometimes because you see others prosper when they're making horrible choices. But in the end, when God comes to your life and he's working through you, he brings order into your life, and he wants to take you out of that chaos. What Jesus wants for you is so much more than you're going through. We're all going through stuff in our life. Just want to let you know that. I'm a parent. I had kids yelling and hitting each other yesterday, creating all sorts of chaos through my home. You have stuff going on in your life. You have family members that maybe they've walked away from Jesus. You've tried your best. You used the wisdom as you could, and there's stuff going on in your life. But I'm here to tell you today that God is the God of order, that he loves to come into your life and bring order out of that chaos. But it takes a mental decision to be like, God, because you could see a situation and be like, I can handle it. I can be that kind of person. I have to watch myself because I think I know everything. I can be sort of controlling. I'm being very real with you this morning. It's hard for me to take my hands off of something that I'm in charge of. Like kids' church right now, I've thought about it at least 5 times since being up here, like what's going on in there? Because it's hard to take my hands off of it. And so, but the thing is I said that and I lost my whole train of thought right there. Okay, gotcha. And so, no, I don't have it. Thank you, Mary. Mary for the save. I owe you a high five at least afterwards. Thank you. Yeah, because we do. We want to make our own choices. We're like, I'm just doing it the way my parents did it. If my mom and dad, that's the way they did it, it's got to be, that's perfect. It doesn't need to be changed. Or if like, this is what my friend taught me. Why would my friend lie to me? Maybe they didn't lie to you. Maybe that's just how they did it, but it doesn't work. But you rely on your own understanding. You rely on your own set of wisdom and values and goals and be like, God, you just keep your wisdom over there. I'll whenever I come into a situation that maybe I'll crack my Bible. Maybe I'll get a piece of advice there. No, that's not how it works. It's all about that saturation. Just like the universe is saturated with that order, or used to be. Because remember, Proverbs is talking about how it should be, not as it is right now. This is how it should work. And so whenever you're tapping into that wisdom, you're tapping into the very foundations of the universe. Did you know that? That means when you're doing wise choices, when you're pulling wisdom from the Bible, when you're making choices that are part of God's domain, you're literally tapping into the same potent force that shaped the universe. Because Jesus brought forth, as in like from his being, brought forth wisdom to create everything. So whenever you make wise choices, whenever you're at the crossroads in your life, whenever you have the choices to make, whenever you make it out of wisdom, you're literally tapping into that resource that created the universe. That is amazing. So I really want to encourage you here, every one of you. And someone from the band, if you'd play something, it'd be great. You know, I didn't come before you beforehand. So, Miss Darcy. And so, but whenever we're tapping to that wisdom, it has a powerful effect on our life, because it does. Once you make one wise choice, the next one is easier and gets easier and gets easier. It's all about that getting to know God through prayer and reading his word and getting to know the Father and his heart. Because the thing is this world desperately wants to get back into that order. You know, the Bible talks about that the earth groans for the day that God's order comes back. That it groans for it. It longs for it. Are you longing for it? Are you longing for God to be so penetrated in your life? Are you longing for God to be so ingrained in your walk that you feel him every step of the way? That whenever a choice is being made, it's not even a second thought. This way might be easier, but this is God's direction. And I know in the end, it's going to have more fruit than that dark direction will have on its best day. So which voice are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen to Lady Wisdom? Are you going to listen to that wise counsel that wants to bring you into life, that wants to bring you into order, that wants to bring you into love and acceptance and grace? Or do you want to listen to the other one that might benefit you now, that might look tempting? You know, she comes up to you and is like, hey, why don't you do this? Your coworkers do this, and they're fine. Why don't you go do that too? No. The battle of the voices. Who are you going to listen to? Everyone bow your head and close your eyes. Father, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for your wisdom that just soaks and penetrates. And I just pray, Father, right now that you will help each and every one of us tap into that universe-building wisdom. That whenever we do come to the crossroads, that we listen to Lady Wisdom, that we listen to that advice. Father, I just pray that we'll listen to the advice of people around us, people who love Jesus, who wants the best for us, who are not our enemies, but want to see us grow. It's hard to take advice sometimes. I know how to do my life. Students, listen to your parents. Your parents know stuff. I know you don't think they do, but your parents know things. Listen to your parents. They have wisdom and knowledge that could help you at that crossroads. Because parents, if you are gaining wisdom through God, if you're reading the Word, if you're tapping into the universe-building wisdom, that means you get to pass it down to your kids. You make rules in your household that reflects God's love and God's mercy, but also His correctingness to make sure that kids go in the right direction. So I want to encourage you that. Tap into God's wisdom and see how things change in your life. Because He desperately wants to bring order out of the chaos. He wants to turn that ugly situation into a good situation. He wants to help you, walk beside you every step of the way. Father, I just pray for us right now, God. I just pray that you will just love on each and every one of us. Help us to tap into that wisdom. Help us to make good choices. Help us with loving our families and friends and wherever we go. Let our light shine. Let the shine of our relationship with you just show your kingdom off wherever we go. Let us be the salt and let us be the light. Let us be the difference makers wherever we go. Let us be the influencers of the atmosphere. Let people see that we worship you. Let people see that we love you. Let people see that you are active in our life. Thank you so much. If you're here today and you're like, there's some choices that I've been making, and it's just not good choices. If that's you, no one's looking around, you can go ahead and raise your hand. If you've just been making bad choice after bad choice, I know that seems embarrassing, but there's no judgment here. Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you. Okay. For my second part, maybe you've come to a really tough decision. You've come to a crossroads in your life, and you're trying to make a choice. Maybe this is something small. Maybe it's something big. It doesn't matter. God wants to be with you with that choice. And if that's you here today, you're desperately seeking an answer to a problem. Go ahead and raise your hand. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Father, I pray for these individuals. I pray for your love to saturate them. I pray that your wisdom will just saturate them. That as they seek you, that the answers will come. As they seek you, that they'll gain the wisdom they need to move forward. Give them the key to get through that gate. Father, I pray for those that raise their hand that they keep making bad choices. If the students were in here, if they were all in here, I'd be like, you all better be raising all your hands, because we all make some bad choices. But I just pray that God will saturate your life. And I pray that you'll make the choice for him to saturate. That's the thing. God's not going to force it on you. It comes with choice. Thank you so much. I would love to pray for you. If you're here and you raised your hand, or maybe you just need prayer in general, I want to count to 3, and I'd love for you to come up here. If you're here and you feel that you're dismissed, you're like, I'm good to go, and then so I just pray a blessing on you. So when I count to 3, if you want prayer, you can come up here. But if you wanted to be dismissed, please dismiss quietly and lovingly. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. I would love to pray for you.